So Freud describes dreams as the road to the subconscious mind. He says they're important to understand our subconscious thoughts, feelings, and hopes, but the reasons for dreaming have been the subject of debate over the ages. How much can we actually read into what we dream? Our next guest is a spiritual coach who believes dreams have the power, at the very least, to improve one's life. She joins us now from Vancouver in Canada. Sandra Drew, thanks very much for your time on the AM Report here in South Africa. It's so great to have you on with us. And this is the big question, isn't it? How much of what we dream should we actually be trying to find meaning to?
Well, I think, and it's quite interesting that you've chosen this topic, because I think we're at a stage in life where we've had so much drama and sadness in the last couple of years. I'm sure none of us have been dreaming. And I think one of the greatest things we can do is go back to dreaming, because nothing is impossible.
Yeah.
And there are various ways we can teach ourselves how to dream. And I have a few of those that I can share with you.
You're saying we can teach ourselves how to dream?
Yes.
Tell us more.
I think it's very much a conscious thing. You know, quite often we drive to work in the morning and we get home and we're exhausted and we get into bed and we go to sleep and we just don't have time to stop and think about anything. And I think as we start teaching ourselves, for example, before we go to sleep at night, to just calm the mind, to breathe, to relax, that is the time when we start dreaming, okay, at various stages in the evening or during our sleep time. And I think once we get into the habit of relaxing before we go to bed, if we put in a few practices a day of just deep breathing, I think it puts us into the now moment, and we can encompass all of that in our lives as well as integrate our dreams.
So Sandra, you know, sometimes you'll wake up in the morning and you'll have had a strange dream, one or the other. Perhaps it's incredibly violent. Perhaps it's a dream about a very obscure love interest and you're not sure where that's coming from. What are some of the things that influence the direction that your dreams take? And you've already mentioned one of them, you know, this non-stop routine that all of us are on, and we don't take the time to breathe very deeply. But when it comes to these really disturbing dreams one way or the other, what are some of the things that play into that?
You know, quite often I think if we have the time to just relax for 10 minutes in the morning before we jump out of bed and reflect on our dreams and then just think back to what's been going on in our lives, what have our experiences been. And I think that's a good way to monitor where we're at, because for starters, if we do have what they call nightmares, we can know then consciously we are not very relaxed. Consciously we are really disturbed about something that's going on in our lives.
So you're saying it's not perhaps the finer detail of a dream, but sort of the general theme of a dream. So if it is one that has a lot of anxiety, perhaps even a bit of violence, it's not the players, particularly in the dream, that you should read a lot into, but the theme of the dream insofar as where you are at, where your headspace is at that moment.
Well, that, through the 20 years I've been working with dream interpreting, is basically what it is. It's allow ourselves to use our imagination. Because if we think about it, colors, numbers, in our lives, so many different things are indicative to where we're at in our lives. And quite often you can go to sleep at night and dream all night about a beautiful sun. What a glorious way of waking up in the morning and feeling well rested. And obviously for our psyche, something like that also does us very good for the next day. Gets our happy endorphins going.
Yeah. I mean, if I understand what you're saying, we also need to be very conscious of the kinds of things we consume, what we take into our psyche, whether it's conversations we have, things we watch on TV, what we read, to try and sort of influence where you're at on that subconscious level?
Very much so. Very much so. And I think what it comes down to basically is just to make us more consciously aware. Because there are so many different little aspects in life that point certain things or show us certain things. That is a sign from the universe. I mean, dreams have been going for hundreds, millions of years. A lot of the indigenous ancestors still connect with their ancestors. Dreams are still very important for a lot of people, and they do read them, but then again, they obviously take the time to take note of consciously what's going on around them and in their minds.
Right, right. Sandra, the people that you've been talking to as a coach yourself, perhaps the things that people have come to you with, how has that changed over the almost year and a half now of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, in a way, it's quite typical because a lot of my coaching has been, because I'm away on leave at the moment in Vancouver, or most of the people I work with are in South Africa. So my coaching has been mainly not in a workshop situation. It's all been either WhatsApp or face-to-face. And I think more than anything else has just having this one-on-one connection with people. I'm picking up how much fear there is. And so it's very difficult for me because I see things holistically, also in an energy aspect. And yes, nightmares, bad dreams, plenty of that. You know, and that's why I think we get our minds into a cycle where we get involved into the negativity. We're in absolute fear, and it's a cycle that continues unless we teach ourselves how to break it, and it's just by conscious living, realistically.
Yeah, yeah. Sandra Drew, thank you so much for staying up. I know it's almost midnight in Vancouver. Thanks for staying up and having this conversation with us here in South Africa.
And hi to everybody in SA. Hi, I'm home soon. Thank you.
Sandra Drew is a soul coach. She's also a dream interpreter insofar as how much can we read into the contents of our dream. We need to look at things holistically. Perhaps look at the kinds of TV you're watching, the kind of media you're consuming, where you're at on a subconscious level. Very interesting indeed.